What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, want to talk about Stellar Blade. We got our wish. Obviously, we knew this game was going to be shown, leading into the state of play, but we've been talking about this game so much over the past few years, and, they really had a lot to show. The trailers have always looked promising, and we've even had, snippets of gameplay in those trailers, but we needed, the full thing. And we also needed a release date, and thank the Lord above, we actually got it. So I want to actually start with the release date. They kind of kept us waiting a bit, right? They do a very big deep dive, 6 minutes long, and I believe at the 5-minute, 59-second mark, right towards the very end, we got the release date, April 26, 2024. Love it. This is what I was hoping for. Silent Hill actually kind of went the other way, and we'll do a video on that next. But in terms of Stellar Blade, I wanted this game, or I was hoping to see this game in the first half of the year, right? I thought this could be a June or earlier type of game. Late April, honestly, pretty perfect. April doesn't have almost anything going on in it. And even with Stellar Blade, it still doesn't have much going on with it. But, to end the month, I would say hopefully strong. And then, Hellblade 2 is in May. And I'm sure as time goes, April, May, June will start to fill up. This is really that first big release in the month of April. So glad to see it. Fantastic. Because the release date, I guess, wasn't a given, right? We knew we were going to get a deep dive, but we didn't know for sure that we were going to get an actual release date. So I love that date. Fantastic. In terms of what we saw, I'm pretty impressed, honestly, with kind of everything. I would say the voice work. Now, I watched it live, right? We co-streamed this event live, and then I watched the video again. I wanted to do it kind of 2 times, just to kind of take it in where I'm not, commentating over everything. And I think it was a little bit better the second time than the first time. The voice work, it's not bad or anything. It's just, to me, it feels a little uneven. But that, it could just be the specific moments they chose from the game. That was the weakest part. I would say other than that, the game looks really, really cool. Now, it's definitely got an Adam and Eve story. I mean, you're literally Eve. There's an Adam in this game. It's a post-apocalyptic world. You can kind of see what they're doing here, and I appreciate it. I really like it. They call her Angel, right? She's kind of the savior of this area. And in terms of what we actually see, now, I kept saying in the live stream, I kept saying that Final Fantasy VII actually remake. Now, it's maybe unfair. Maybe it's unfair. Maybe it's a bias because I just replayed that game, okay? I just replayed 7 Remake about a week and a half ago to get ready for Rebirth. So it's fresh in my mind. Could I make better comparisons? Maybe. On the chat of the live stream, people are actually throwing around Devil May Cry or even Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, right? There was a couple Rising Revengeance. There was a couple different comparisons. The way she fights reminds me of Cloud, where it's a little clunky, right? A little stiff, but it's kind of purposeful, but it deals a lot of impact. It's very cinematic. The movements are very smooth, even though Cloud is a very rigid person. Hopefully that makes sense. Now that's how that plays. I feel from what we saw that she plays a similar way. Now, again, in terms of what we already saw, we did see a little gameplay snippet, right? But you really didn't get a good, I'd say, look at it. This time, we got a lot more, and I would say blocking and parrying, that seemed to be not the Rise of the Ronin level. Rise of the Ronin, right? Very specific of what you're supposed to do in combat. This game, I think it had a little bit more flexibility. There were gun-like things, items to use. But in terms of the style, again, very cinematic, but a little rigid, very much like Cloud and his sword. But then, not necessarily From Software, vibes in there, but the idea of parrying and blocking and getting things just right, that definitely was an element to it. So, that maybe stood out the most, right? Because the visuals, it looks extremely good. The world looks extremely good. The characters look extremely good. But we kind of knew that. I mean, to be honest, this was more of a test for the game where, sometimes when a game is shown off in a trailer and then you see it, around launch day, sometimes there's a drop, right? For visuals, maybe that was the test, right, to see if it kind of dropped in value. And yeah, it didn't look as good as the best trailers it can make, a game, right? It's going to be a little bit lower than that. I think visually they knocked it out of the park. The gameplay has always been an intriguing part, maybe the most intriguing part of this game, because it's we saw a little bit of it, but you don't get a full grasp, and we got a lot more here. So honestly, I was impressed with the gameplay. I was impressed by the visuals. I'm impressed by the world. The world, again, biasness. the world is giving me some Midgar kind of vibes, right? Or the idea that, you go around, you're completing quests for these people, you win over their trust as the game goes, but just kind of the, I don't know, rustic, that's probably not even the right term, but the look of the world, the open world, very like deserty, right, too, at times. So I really liked it. I like how this game is shaping up. And a thing that I actually did spot during, I was co-streaming this, and I was looking at the comments of the PlayStation trailer. Towards the end, there's more of like a montage of different outfits for her. Very cool. And I mean, we know what gaming journalists, I'm sure, are going to have to say about Eve. And I'm sure we know what people, like average Joes, on Twitter and social media are going to say about Eve. I think the costumes look really, really cool. Again, I think the design of a lot of these characters, I like their look. I'm all in. I've always had hope for this game. This game has always been something that caught my eye. And, you can make jokes. You can definitely make jokes and talk about Eve herself and, the kind of allure that she has. But I think the game itself has always drawn me in too. And I think they did about as good of a job as I could have hoped for. And kind of the full package, right? Because you get better looks at these characters. You get the world. You get a little bit more of the plot. You get the gameplay, right? You're going to be playing the game, so you need some gameplay. And you get a release date. You got pretty much everything you could have hoped for, at least what they showed. And then it's just, did you like what they showed or did you not like it? So you let me know what you think in the comments. This is obviously a game that I'll be covering quite a bit leading into it. We've already done that, for the last 2 or so years. So make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.